Welcome, Queens, to another episode. If you're watching the video, you will see that I'm actually sat downstairs, not in my office upstairs. And there's a reason for that, and I'll share with you in a moment. This episode's a little bit different because I haven't written a blog or an article to go with it. It's not specifically about anything to do with recovery directly, but my goal is, as I'm sharing what I want to share with you, my goal is to provide value so it helps you, even though it might not resonate fully. You'll understand what I'm going to say in a minute. It might not resonate fully, but I want you to get value out of it either way. So that's my goal. So let me know if I've accomplished my goal after the episode. Yeah, this is my living room downstairs. And where do I even start? Okay, so on the video, you're lucky because you're going to see something before I speak. Are you ready? You probably already know what it is. This is my surprise. Oh, look, a baby in my tummy. As I record this, I am 33 weeks pregnant. And it was a massive surprise. Let me get closer. Hold on, I can't bend down properly to bring this closer. Okay, there we go. Those of you that have known me for a while, you will know that I never wanted children, neither did my husband, even to the point where when we first met in Egypt 7 years ago, I said to him when we, kind of fell in love at first sight, all the dream thing did kind of happen to us. And I said, just to clarify, you don't want children, right? Because I don't. Just FYI, just putting it out there. The day I met you, I don't want children, just so you know. And he was like, oh my God, thank goodness, I don't want children either. And I was like, winner, like we're on the same page because it's a big deal, And when I met him, I was 30. So I'm 37 now. And throughout my entire life, I've never wanted children. It's not that I dislike children. I just wasn't that interested in them at all. I'm much rather interested in dogs, horses, animals, puppies, baby animals, animals in general, not children. So we were actively avoiding getting pregnant also, by the way. 4 years ago, I stopped my contraception because I didn't want to be taking hormones in my body anymore. I tried everything. I tried different pills. I tried the implant. And they just didn't feel right. I stopped all the hormonal treatments. Then I thought, right, well, I'm going to try a copper coil, like a spiral IUD, I think you call it, a copper one, which has no hormones in it. So I had that fitted, which was, oh my God, it was horrific. It was so frigging painful. I mean, I've got labor coming up, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But this was horrible. And I had that fitted, and my periods were so painful and heavy and long, and it just didn't feel right in my body. So I had that taken out. And I was like, well, what are we going to do? Because, I mean, yeah, you can use condoms, which we did occasionally, but he didn't particularly enjoy that aspect of it. So I started using an app called Natural Cycles, which is really good, by the way. And I used that app for 4 years, tracking my cycle. You take your temperature every morning, like you get to know your body better as well. It's really good. And I was following that for 4 years, and it gives you like green days when it's safe to have sex without conceiving, and red days when to avoid having sex because you could potentially get pregnant. Followed that to the T for 4 years and didn't make any mistakes with it at all. And then I became pregnant. I remember like saying to Wouter in the gym, I was like, I feel different and I am late on my period. And I feel like I'm ready to start my period. So I feel like there's nothing to worry about because I feel like I'm about to start my period because I was really bloated and my boobs were sore. And he joked about being pregnant or something. And I said, no, well, we can't because I follow the app. Anyway, I was talking to my lovely friend Julia Trehane, and many of you might know her. She's actually a recovery coach herself, and I met her through coaching her to recovery 2 years ago. And we speak every day now. And I think I was on the phone with her that day, and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of like, I think 5 days late for my period, but I feel like it's coming. And maybe it was just my trip to America, and I got a bit sick after that, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, why don't you just do a test? And I was like, well, all right, I'll do a test. And I did the test that day. And this is a funny thing. you pee on the stick or whatever you do. And then I'm impatient in general as a person. And I looked at the pregnancy test and it showed one blue line. And sorry, I've got something on my laptop and now it's annoying me, so I'm going to get it off. I saw one thin blue line. And you know what really surprised me? When I saw that one blue line, if I'm completely honest with myself, I was a little bit disappointed. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. And I had a shower, got out the shower. The thin blue line was two very strong, prominent blue lines. And I remember looking at it and being like, fuck, and also kind of excited at the same time, which was new to me because I did not want children, remember, at all, not even a little bit. So I texted Julia like, fuck, does this mean I'm pregnant? Obviously I knew, but I just was in shock or something. And she was like, yes. So I went downstairs and my husband was meditating and I walked downstairs with the stick and I just stared at him and he didn't get it. I don't know how he didn't get it. And he just looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, fuck. And his immediate response was, we need to get rid of it immediately. And I know that might be really harsh, and it is harsh, and it was very harsh. And he is a lovely man. I'm going to explain like what happened there. And then when he said that, I felt very alone. I felt hurt. I just felt, I don't even know what I felt. I felt like I didn't want him to say that. I just wanted support. And deep down, I knew I wanted this baby, right? Which was fucking shocking to me because I was like, what has happened to me when I didn't want children for my entire life? So strongly. It wasn't like I was like, yeah, well, one day. It was a no. So that happened, and I mean, I'm going into a lot of detail here. I don't actually mean to do this, but here we are. I am going to share, by the way, if you're not interested in babies like I wasn't, if you're not interested in pregnancy like, at all like I wasn't, I am going to be sharing a lot about body image and how I've like navigated all of that and give you hopefully value on body image and self-love and surrender and all the stuff. So it's coming. Anyway, so that happened and we booked an abortion. I think it was for the next week. My dog's just walking behind me, if you can hear him. You're so cute, aren't you, boy? We booked an abortion and I just disassociated, went into like a trauma response and just like blocked it out and pretended it didn't happen, which isn't like me because you know how much I'm into personal and spiritual growth and connecting to myself and all the things, but it was just such a shock. And I was so surprised that I wanted this baby and so hurt at my husband's reaction. I just didn't know what to do. And I also value our marriage very much. So we got married and we met not wanting children. And yes, it's my body, but I also really value my marriage and my relationship. And I didn't think it was fair to bring a baby into the world when number one, the father doesn't want the baby, and number two, when my husband doesn't want the baby, because even though it's my body and it's my choice, I imagine myself in the opposite. I imagine myself in his shoes, and I wanted to, you know, really connect to his point of view as well. So that's why we did book the abortion anyway. Then we went away for the weekend, which was planned ages before. And we had a nice weekend. I kind of just pretended it wasn't happening, although my boobs were saying very different and my body was starting to change and feel really different. And then on the way back in the car, we went to an island called Texel. We live in the Netherlands, if you don't know me by now, I'm sure you do. It was like I think like a 3-hour drive or something. And then on the way back, I was closing my eyes and then allowing myself to really like think about what was happening and what was going to happen in the next couple of days, what the appointment that I had booked, the abortion. And I just burst into tears and I couldn't do it. I was just imagining, someone taking it away. And I felt so angry towards the person who would be taking it away. And I just burst into tears, told Wouter, like, I really want this baby. I can't go through with it. And he was like, because he had a massive trauma response, and I'll explain in a moment, he was like, oh, it's just your hormones, your biology, your body wants you to have the baby because, you know, you're pregnant, it's natural. And my intuition was just telling me it wasn't that. It wasn't just a biological hormone protective instinct. It was something deep inside me that wanted to have this baby. So we even rang my sister and her husband to try and get them to persuade Wouter. I mean, that's obviously not going to work. About how great it is being parents and all the things, and that didn't work. And we got home, and I was still really upset. And we had our dog with us, Hero, who's, let me show you. There he is. So cute, lying down there. We had a dog with us, and I needed the toilet on the way back home. And I got out the car to go to the toilet, and Wouter, my husband, said he's never acted that way before. He was like banging on the glass with both of his paws and like crying, like screaming because I'd gone, because he knew what was going on. He knew how upset I was. So we got back home, and then I said, I don't know what to do. Like, I was just in a mess. And he said, well, why don't we call Lawrence? And Lawrence is a Dutch name. It's a man. He's our energy healer. He does like Reiki. He does like Nai coaching. He does all the things. He's like really connected to spirituality and everything, which we are. And I kind of then half joked and said, well, we can go and see him, but he's either got to change your mind miraculously, or I'm going to have to find a way to go through with this on the Wednesday. Anyway, on the Monday, which was the next day, we got an appointment with Lawrence, which he's like 10 minutes away from our house. So we went to this appointment, and we walked into the room, and then Lawrence said to Wouter, you know, what's going on? How do you feel? And then Wouter just broke down. And my husband has not cried as an adult ever. I mean, that tells you enough, right? He's never cried as an adult. And his tears just came, and I was thinking, oh, thank God for that. Like, this really needed to happen, regardless of the outcome. He had so much inside of him that he wasn't releasing, and now he was. And then Lawrence, he wasn't biased in any way. He does have children, but he really took a back seat and just asked mainly Wouter questions like, what's the worst? Why does this feel like so bad to have this child? And Wouter's belief was, my life would be over. I wouldn't earn any money. I couldn't have my career. I would never have sex. Not that that's a big part of our relationship, but he just thought that everything would just completely change. And I'm not saying children don't change your life, because of course they do, but he just saw all the negative reasons. Like, he saw no joy in having children. And then Lawrence asked him a few deep questions about, is he open to looking at it from a different perspective? What if this child was absolutely your purpose? And then miraculously, an hour and a half later, oh, also during that, and you may believe this or you may not, but I'm going to share anyway. I lay down, and then Lawrence contacted the soul, the baby, and I was like, I don't want to do this, because I had to answer, because it came through me, not through just him doing something. Like, I had to go into a hypnotic state, and then he would ask me questions, and I was like, I don't want to do this, because I don't want to get in the way. But I've done this with him a lot before, so I just completely surrendered, got myself out the way, and then whatever answered. And we walked away from that session both fully having said yes to bringing this baby into the world, because Lawrence reminded us that this baby has chosen me and Wouter as parents. And it could also be true that this baby chose to be here for a short time if the abortion did take place, because in our belief, souls do choose that too, just to be here for a very short time, even a few weeks, and then go back to the spirit world or whatever. And we walked out his it's not an office, it's like a beautiful like space. We walked out that space fully on board with being parents, and then I just cried with relief, also shocked. So I was like, what the fuck has happened to me? Why do I all of a sudden want to be a mum? And I've done so much work on myself, like a lot of stuff around my childhood, and obviously the eating disorder recovery, and a lot of body image and self-love work. And I realized that I had been a mother my entire life to my own mother. I was the caretaker, like I was the one that was responsible for her emotions. So no wonder I had such a strong aversion to being a mother, because I'd been a mother my whole goddamn life, and I didn't want that responsibility. It wasn't mine to take on as a child, but the dynamics of our relationship, that's what happened. And I was just ready to be a real mother to my own child. So that being said, lol, LOL. Yeah, I'm due on the 20th of November, but I feel like she's going to come like maybe 11:11. That would be cool. She's going to come whenever she comes. And it's a she because she can hear me saying she. And I'm so fucking grateful. I've done all the work I have on myself, bringing a girl into this world around body image and self-love and all of that. I'm just so grateful that I've done this work so I can have a positive influence on her and not bring all this generational trauma into her life either. So so I'm all over the place, I know, but I want to just speak to a few bullet points. In terms of my growth, excuse me, by the way, being pregnant, like you get heartburn from hell and you burp all the time and all that stuff. So it is what it is. And I'll talk about how I've been feeling in pregnancy if you want. Well, I will, because I'm not going to wait for your feedback. So I'm going to do it in this episode, but I will do that in a moment. But I want to just give you hopefully some value towards body image stuff. And also to show that anything is possible. Like, honestly, if you had said to me a year ago that you would be pregnant and happy about it, I would have been like, you are fucking kidding me. There's no way on this earth. Things change in an instant, and I just want you to be open to anything changing in your life, whether it's to do with children for you or pregnancy, or whether it's due to a job or recovery or self-love or a relationship. Anything can change as long as you're open to it and you tune into yourself and do what feels right. So how my body's changed over this process, because I'm 8 months pregnant now. She could come in 4 weeks. That's when I'm classed as full term. And she might come on a due date, she might come later, like whatever, it is what it is. My body's changed a lot, obviously, but I've learned so much about myself. Number one, I'm so glad I've done all the work I have done on myself around body image, because my body has changed and I'm in absolute awe of my body changing. Can you believe that? I am in awe. So I've not had a single fearful thought about, oh, I'm getting fat or I'm getting bigger or this is happening or that is happening. I'm just in absolute awe of the way my body is changing, like the way my boobs have changed and my nipples even look different and they feel differently. And obviously my tummy's grown massively because she's grown inside of me and my body shape's changed a little bit. And I'm just in awe of it all. Like, I'm just so grateful to not have had a single fearful thought about my body size. I mean, back in the day, before I started recovery, obviously knowing I never wanted to get pregnant anyway, but if I would talk about it with a friend about pregnancy in general, it would be, there's absolutely no way I would ever get pregnant. You just get fat, which for me was like my biggest fear. And I just wouldn't do it. Even if I wanted kids, I wouldn't have done it because it changes your body. And I'm so glad I've done that work. I think I've said that about 100 times in this video already. But if you're in a position where you do want children in the future and you are going through recovery, or maybe you've recovered and you're still having body image issues or problems or challenges, it's worth doing that work to be truly free. Because if you're not free yet, what if you do get pregnant in the future and your body will change and my body might not ever be the same again and yours might not either? How are you going to cope with that? Because everything you feel during pregnancy, you pass on to your baby. Every emotion I've had, she's felt that, because I've learned so much about babies and pregnancy and birth. Like, I've just been learning a lot because I had no idea. So I wasn't interested at all. If a friend had a baby, I was like, oh yeah, it's cute. And then I'd just be bored of it already, like, honestly. But everything shifted and I've learned so much. And so what was I saying? Oh yeah, everything that I feel, my baby feels, because what's happening is your baby is growing and it's prepping to survive in the world that its mum currently lives in. So if I'm anxious a lot, if I'm stressed a lot, regardless of what the reason for being stressed or anxious could be, the baby's nervous system is adapting. And if it thinks it's being born into a stressful environment, it's going to have higher stress responses. It's going to be more on edge to like watch out for danger. So honestly, I've learned so freaking much through reading 2 incredible books for a start and listening to loads of podcasts. There's one book, let me show you the cover. I recommend this to any professional or anybody who isn't in this space of coaching or therapy that wants to understand their childhood better. And perhaps if you're looking to have children in the future, let me just show you the book, 1 second. It's just there. It's called Why Love Matters, How Affection Shapes a Baby's Brain. And it's not just about babies, it's about adults having had that childhood they've had. Oh my God, there's so much in there. So I recommend that book massively. There's also a book called Parenting from the Inside Out. That's really good. And I've learned so much, like I say, about parenting, and also a lot has come up around my childhood. I'm having such fucked up dreams, and not so much now, but I was throughout this pregnancy. Really crazy dreams, and feeling a lot of very strong emotions in my dreams, and processing a lot of stuff that I didn't know was there. And also just spending loads of time with little me, my inner child, and giving her all the love and all the things she received a lot of love as a child, but my mom and dad could only love me in the way that they knew how to love. And unfortunately, that was from trauma bonds and trauma patterns and all the things. So I'm doing things differently, and I'm so excited to meet her. And I'm going off on a tangent again. Wait. Okay. With body image, like I said, I've been blessed to have no fear thoughts at all. I've just been in awe of my body changing and fully surrendering to that. So the things that I've had to learn, or she's taught me already during this pregnancy, is I didn't realize that I still had like a weird thing about going for a poo. I'm just saying to say it. Because my purging of choice, which sounds shit, but it was, in the bulimia, was misusing laxatives to the extreme. So going for a poo has always been like a big thing for me. And obviously I completely recovered, obviously don't take laxatives or anything anymore. But I noticed that during the first 3 months, I was constipated as fuck. I was nauseous as fuck. Oh my God, it was challenging. I couldn't poo. And that really affected me. It was surprising how much it affected me, whether it was linked unconsciously to when I did have the eating disorder, like needing to have a flat tummy in the morning, whether it was just feeling uncomfortable with a bloated tummy. All of that came to the surface, and all I had to do, the only choice I really had, unless I wanted to suffer, was to surrender. So it's taught me to just absolutely surrender to whatever my body's going to do, it's going to do. If it's bloated, if it's full, if it's constipated, if it's in pain, my body's just going to have that experience, and I get to just experience it too and surrender to it, because there's nothing else I can do. So that helped me massively in terms of like just pooing or not pooing every morning, completely surrendered to that and lent more into trusting my body to just do what it needed to do. I used to go on the sunbed just once a month, just because I liked my skin color better when I had a tan. And that wasn't a disorder. It wasn't like I have to feel good. But I noticed that when I couldn't, due to the pregnancy, I kind of felt a bit weird about that. I was like, yeah, but I'm going to go really white. And I am right now. Well, that's okay too. So it's another layer that I didn't even realize was there, that's just been completely peeled back. And my skin color is its natural skin color now. I don't have a tan because I no longer go on the sunbed. So that was really cool to let go of too. I used to have caffeine in the morning. Don't have that anymore. That was like quite challenging to let go of. But I let go of that. So she's just taught me to just let go and surrender and actually put her first, which I never got before I was pregnant, when I wasn't interested in babies at all. I'll be like, oh, I'd never want to put someone else before me. Like, because my needs weren't met as a child, I learned how to meet my own needs, and I just loved being about me, and I could do what I wanted when I wanted. If I want to take caffeine in the morning, I will. If I want to go on the sunbed, I will. So it's just taught me to just put someone else, being my baby, first. And now I get it, because she's not even born, and now I get it. So I'm putting her first, but not from a place of like, I wish I couldn't. Like, you want to. So that is a gift in and of itself. What have I written down here? I seem to be naked most of the time. Obviously, I'm not right now, but I don't like anything like on me. Like, I don't like, I mean, I have got, this actually isn't a maternity dress. This is just one of my normal dresses, but it's stretchy. But anything around my bump, I'm like, I'd just rather be naked. So it has got cooler now because now it's October. But in the summer, I was just naked most of the time, which my husband didn't mind too much. Even though he won't have sex with me anymore because he thinks it's child rape or something. And that's for him to work through, and that's okay. But a girl has needs and all of that. Anyway, yeah, I just don't like wearing clothes much, which is also good for body image work. Not that I really need to do any work on that anymore, but being naked a lot, if you're listening to this and you're struggling with your body image, it's really helpful to spend a lot of time naked if you can, because it's just exposure therapy. You just get used to your body without hiding it all the time. That was really helpful for me during my body image journey, but now I just seem to be naked most of the time. Total surrender, I've written down. Like I said, like absolute total surrender. And during the first 3 months, I was really, really nauseous. I wasn't physically sick and I was really hungry and I didn't want to eat it all at the same time. So I literally, it reminded me a bit of anorexia recovery. I was like force feeding myself because I knew I needed the nourishment and my baby needed the nourishment. The last thing I wanted to do was eat, but then I also knew I did need to eat because I felt so sick. It was just fucking weird. So I was like force feeding myself. And then I also just only craved like white bagels. And so I ate a lot of them, but I also wanted to nourish myself and my baby. So I was kind of like forcing myself, and it was forcing, which doesn't sound like it's self-loving, but it ultimately it is, because I needed nourishment. Like all the quote unquote healthy stuff, like the grains and the fruits, and I just didn't want it. It's just weird feeling. So I was resting a lot. And now in the third trimester now, because I've like got like what 4 to 6 weeks left to go, I'm resting a lot too. Like after this podcast, I'll post it and then I'll just lie down for like an hour and have a nap or read a book because I just get exhausted like all of a sudden. And again, I kind of started to fight that a little bit at the beginning. And then I was like, what am I doing? I just need to completely surrender. And if I don't want to walk the dog, I can ask my husband and I'll just lie down. So again, an extra layer of ultimate surrender and trusting with what my body needs and wants. What else have I written down? Asking for help. Yeah, that was something I was still working on before I got pregnant. Like, actually, sometimes my mantra has been, if you want something doing, just do it yourself because you do it properly, right? But that's a bit of control freak that I used to be in the eating disorder. And then a lot of that went, but still with like house stuff, I would just rather do it myself because it gets done properly. Excuse me, but actually the more tired I was getting, like especially now, like she feels really heavy in my uterus and I'm exhausted randomly a lot of the time. I need help. So I've asked my husband for help, like around the house. Like if the dishwasher needs emptying, like please can you empty it too? And it's not like I'm painting him out to be, especially with what he said to me when I told him I was pregnant. He had his trauma stuff to work through and he's worked through that. And now he's so excited to be a dad. And we talked about it a lot. But I just like taking care of the house. And he had his jobs, if you like, and I had my jobs. But I've had to ask him to help me with my quote unquote jobs, like the dishwasher, and can he actually just tidy up a bit more and little things like that, which I just didn't bother. I just did it myself. I've actually asked for help and now he cooks every night. I'm sous chef and he's chef, whereas he used to just do whatever he was doing, working or gaming or reading. And I used to cook every night after a full day of coaching. And we're not doing that anymore because I don't want it to be all on me. So I've asked for help. That's been really hard, but it's really grown our relationship and it's grown me, and I'm receiving the help, which is important too. We can ask for help, but I need to leave him to do it and then not go and do it again the way I want it done. You have to leave them to help you and be grateful for that. So that's growth for me too. I've wrote down here, already being the woman I want my daughter to be. So this is so easy. Honestly, this is just game changing for me. So I've always had like an alter ego that I called Queen Victoria, right? And so during business growth, during personal growth, I would say, what would Queen Victoria do right now? So I had this vision, I wrote it out, I've recorded it, I listened to it back, and I'm always evolving and growing. So I change this every month or so. But So I used to say, okay, in this decision in business, what would Queen Victoria do right now? Then I would do that. That's what you can do with yourself in recovery and with body image and with self-love. Create a vision of this higher version of you, your best version of you. Like, create characteristics. Like, mine is confidence, strength, compassion, knows her worth, like those types of words. Create this character, which is who you really are at your core. And then anytime you are struggling to eat or struggling with your body image and struggling to wear something because you've got all these judgments about how your body looks, ask yourself, what would the highest version of me do right now? And if she's confident as fuck, she would just wear the damn thing anyway and get on with her day and get on with her life without allowing herself to just ruminate on negative judgments about herself. So use that, because it's really helpful for me. But I'm doing that now, just in terms of like setting more boundaries, even like resting more. Like, would I want my daughter to do what I'm doing? If the answer is no, I'm going to do something different, because we model, and again, I'm not saying I know everything, because I don't, and I'll share a lot about what I learn, I'm sure, as we go through the years. But what I'm learning and reading, and also what I've known from coaching mothers for many years now, we model our behaviors to our children. And no matter what we say, the modeling of our behaviors is more important. Your children pick up more on what you do, how you behave, how you be, not what you say. So if I'm not setting a boundary, I would ask myself, like, would I want my daughter to also not set this boundary? Or would I want her to set a boundary for herself? And if the answer is the opposite to what I was about to do, I will then be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm putting myself first. So it's easier for personal growth to just say, like, would I want this for my daughter? If not, then I'm not having it for me, because she's going to be watching me all the time. And Wouter, my husband, feels the same. So he's stepping into the man he wants to be, so that when our daughter watches him, she will have a good model of what a really decent man, how he behaves, how he acts, how present he is, how supportive he is, how strong he is. Like, Wouter's just being the man he wants Koa to be with. Because they say in psychology, we either choose a man similar to our dads. Most of the time that's like 90% accurate. It's, you basically go out with your dad in a different body, in a different age, or you choose the exact opposite of your dad. And I've done both, and it's a pattern that's really interesting to see. So a father's role in a daughter's upbringing is super, super important too. I'm saying no a lot more easily, like, especially because I've been really tired recently, and I've had social invitations, and I check in with myself, and if it's not a hell yes, it's a no thank you. And I don't feel bad about that, because I'm putting myself and my energy first. She's doing a lot of growing right now, and she's taking a lot of energy, and she can have it. And I also need to make sure I've got enough energy by nourishing myself loads. My appetite is definitely increased, especially in this last trimester. And I'm obviously honoring that. I'm just eating whatever, I'm still intuitive eating in freedom. I'm eating whatever it is I want, however much I want, whether it's chocolate, whether it's vegetables, potatoes, whatever. It's just a naturally balanced diet without me trying. I'm just allowing all of it, because that's really important. I want to breastfeed, so my body needs all the calories and the nourishment to be able to do what it needs to do. I'm just going to trust that, like I have done since recovery. Best thing you'll ever do. Like I said, I've learned a lot about parenting and understanding even more about where all our patterns come from. Like, of course, it's all rooted in childhood, and I know a lot about this work, so I support my clients through this, but I'm learning even more how crucial it is, even when you're a baby, even when you're in the womb. It's crazy to receive your emotional, to get your needs met, your emotional needs, especially the love, the attention, the care. You can't spoil a baby, and there's all these different attachment styles, like anxious attachments and disorganized attachments, and I'm learning all about them. It's just so interesting, understanding myself even more too, and growing even more. What I have noticed, so interesting, So people in this culture, and I'm not saying they're doing it negatively, because when people comment on your body size, they're trying to compliment you. Like, in society, when people are like, oh, you look like you've lost weight, or so-and-so's lost weight, doesn't she look great? Or how do you do it? It's just they're trying to compliment you, but it's fucked up because that shouldn't be a compliment. I'm noticing that so many people have said, oh my God, how are you 33 weeks pregnant? Your bump is so small. Where's your baby then, Victoria? Like, why can't you see where your baby is? Like, and it's like, well, she's in there and she's taking up the space she needs. And who knows why my bump is classed as small? Maybe it's because I've never had a baby before. Maybe it's because I work out at the gym a lot and I have a really tight core. Maybe it's because she's a small baby. Maybe it's all of those things. But it's really interesting to see 9 times out of 10, they're like shocked at how far gone I am because my bump is so small. And I guess it's not a bad thing I'm saying this, but it is interesting how people are like, oh, and you're still so small. It's like, it's the whole thing of society, like smaller is better. And that's fucked up and it's not okay. But it's really interesting to just like notice these comments all the time. I've built a stronger connection to my body, and I invite you to do the same, pregnant or not pregnant. Tune in, because she knows what she wants, whether you identify as a she or a her or a him or a they or whatever it is. Your body knows what it wants, and it's your job to get quiet and to tune into what your body is asking for. And it might be asking for rest or sleep or food or chocolate or a book to read or sex or a walk in nature. Just really start to tune in, because I've surrendered completely, and my body, I mean, I'm not a slave to my body. Obviously, I have a mind still. I get to choose. Obviously, if I'm tired in the middle of a coaching call, I'm not going to say, oh, by the way, I'm tired, so I'm going for a nap. Obviously not. My body's feeding back to me, and I get to choose when to listen, and I'm honoring her as much as possible. So I invite you to do the same for yourself. I've put need to nourish myself as a priority. I used to, let's say I'm cooking, and like I say, we cook together now, but let's say there's like a bigger portion, or we had corn on the cob the other day, and there was like a better looking corn on the cob than the other one. And whereas before I would have given that to my husband, one, because he just tends to, well, we tend to eat a similar amount anyway. Here is moving again, but I just give him the better one most of the time, because I just feel like that's part of my love language to, like, I mean, yeah, why am I giving him the best one? That's fucked up. It just feels nice to like give him the nicer one, right? Not anymore. Like, I'm having the most of the food. If there's like oh God, think of an example, Victoria. Oh yes, we made dinner the other night and there was only enough left over for one portion the next day, because we have our leftovers we make it for 4 people at night time for dinner, and we have it that night, and then we have it for lunch the next day. And at this particular time, there was only enough for like one extra portion. And he had nothing to eat. And I was like, I'm sorry, darling, I'm taking it all. Like, I need it. So I'm putting my nourishment as a priority. And if there's like one cookie, I'm having it and I'm not sharing it, type of thing. So I guess I'm sharing less because I know I need it more. So I'm being selfish, but not selfish because it's self-full. I'm basically putting myself first even more with nourishment. And like, even with my dog, I usually get up and walk straight away. But the last few mornings I've woke up and I've been really hungry. So I've said to my dog, Hero, sweetheart, you're gonna have to wait because mummy needs to eat breakfast like immediately, and then we can go on a walk. So I'm putting myself before anybody else and my needs before anybody else, like no matter what. And that feels really good. It felt a little bit selfish to begin with, because I've done a lot of work around letting go of people pleasing and meeting my own needs. But for example, if my dog really wants to go out, I would have just been like, oh, I'll eat breakfast when I get back. It doesn't matter if I'm hungry for half an hour. But now I'm like, no, there's absolutely no way. I'm waiting. I'm eating now. So that's really cool to see. Heartburn from hell, I've written down. Hemorrhoids, not going to lie. I mean, it's getting a little bit better now. But honest to God, you know what hemorrhoids are? Like, piles is another word to call them. Just putting it out there. That's not cool at all. And it fucking hurts. And a few weeks ago, I couldn't even sit down without being in a lot of pain. And I was like, this sucks. And I was saying to my mum and my sister, I was like, I can't wait till after birth. I'm going to look like a frigging baboon with all my bum literally hanging out. Because if they're bad now, Jesus. But actually, it's getting a bit better. But that's the thing people probably don't talk about. Heartburn, feeling tired, like random weird pains in your entire, especially around like your hips and your groin and your back and your tummy, just like random weird pains. I guess that's normal. Can't get comfortable, like I'm tossing and turning a lot. What else? I've actually been really blessed because I think you can get a lot more problems or pain with pregnancy. My ankles haven't swelled. I'm quite active though. I walk my dog 3 times a day unless I really don't feel like it. I'm at the gym. I've just stepped down. So I was doing 3 times a week without PT until a couple of weeks ago. And now I'm just doing 2 times a week. So I just need that extra rest. So I'm still training, weight training, doing a little bit of cardio, walking every day. So I guess I'm quite active. I've got a few not varicose veins, like a lot of spider veins come up. That's really interesting to see because your blood volume like doubles apparently, which is really interesting. But I had my blood test done and they did say, and I was very proud of this, they said like that some of the healthiest bloods we've ever seen. And I was like, wow, that is just incredible. I literally have just eat what I want when I want. What else symptoms have I had? Really fucked up dreams. I think I mentioned that. Really weird dreams. No other symptoms really. I mean, my hair's always been thick and long because apparently that can be a symptom, like extra thick hair, but it always has been. My eyelashes are my own. I know I'm very blessed. I get asked that a lot. What the hell do I do with my eyelashes? Nothing. I do put a lash serum on though, called Nano Lash, and it just nourishes your eyelashes. But yeah, anyway, that's a tangent. So let me talk about how I feel about birth. And then I'll talk about, which is really important if you're listening to this, if you've stayed with me this long, I mean, Jesus Christ, I've been talking for 42 minutes now. I hope you're getting value out of this. Please let me know if you are, because I'm so used to giving, giving, giving. I feel like I'm just talking about me and not actually really giving any like support. So please let me know if you have any questions so then I can support you off the back of this episode. Yeah, it's actually ironically the best time to work with me. And I'll tell you that. It's really exciting. I'll tell you that at the end as to why. So stay tuned till the end. How I feel about the birth. Oh my God, I'm so excited and I have no fear. And the reason for that is a few things. Number one, I've hired a doula. If you don't know what a doula is, it's like a spiritual, it doesn't have to be spiritual, but it's a pregnancy coach. Ta-da! I love coaching, just in case you didn't know. And so she is in alignment with us spiritually, with her beliefs and things, and all natural and all that. So I've hired a doula and she's come around to the house for the last 4 months so far. Every month she comes to the house for about 2 hours and just coaches us emotionally. Also my husband, because it's all really important that he's on board with everything too. And she talked about our birth stories and oh God, there was so much there. It was so interesting. About how my mum's labour was, like how my mum's experience was when I was in the womb. And I was after a miscarriage and I was also chosen to be born to try and save the marriage. So there was, and I failed at that because they're divorced. There's a lot there that I didn't really know about emotionally from my conception. Also, the same with my husband and his birth. He had quite a traumatic birth with the cord wrapped around his neck and everything. My mother was induced, so I was forced to come early. Yeah, just so much to learn about, and that links into your birth and any fears that you have around that. So we're being very supported by our doula. We're also having a water birth at home. So we're having a home birth. I don't want any, unless I need it, and I'm grateful it's there if I need it, of course. I don't want anything to do with a hospital. I just want to be at home, literally right behind me. There's going to be the birth pool here. The doula brought it round last week and it's like fits and we've set it all up and everything. So having a water birth at home, just with me, my husband, my doula and the midwife. No pain relief. And I'm just so looking forward to it. Ask me afterwards, because I've said a few times to women who have had babies, like, how painful can it be? And they've like literally laughed in my face. And I don't want to be too naive. And I also know that I've suffered abuse physically. I've been raped, I've been hit daily, physically hurt a lot. I've been emotionally hurt a lot. I mean, it can't be that fucking painful, can it? Because it's not even dangerous. At least when I was being abused every day, that was dangerous. Birth is the most natural thing ever. I work out really hard. Well, before pregnancy, I did. Like I can like I want to say I can handle it, but I don't even want to go into it with that energy. Like I'm so ready for it. I'm ready to surrender and just trust, surrender and trust, surrender and trust. And it's the most natural thing in the world, and it's not dangerous. The pain isn't dangerous. So I've been prepping myself for a natural home birth by spamming myself with podcasts. Orgasmic Birth podcast is a great one. There's a documentary called Orgasmic Birth. Not quite sure if I'll have an orgasm during birth, but that would be nice. Apparently it's a thing. I've there's someone called the Naked Doula on Instagram. She's got great content. I've bought her course that I'm going through. I've got flashcards, affirmations, hypnobirthing. I'm watching YouTube positive birth blogs of natural home births, and I'm just so ready for this. Like I'm so excited to experience labor. And at the minute, she's head down, she's in the perfect position, like everything. I'm so blessed, like everything has been absolutely perfect throughout my entire pregnancy in terms of the baby and my health as well. So I'm really ready for the birth. And like so many people are like, oh my God, you're having a home birth, you're brave. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if, what if, what if? And I get it. But at the end of the day, I'm just going with my intuition and what feels right. And if something happens, the hospital's only like 15-minute ride away. And I'm that surrendered and that trusting. This might sound really dramatic, but I'm that in tune with what feels right. If something went wrong and either of us die, then I truly believe that that's supposed to happen. That's how trusting and surrendered I am. So I feel really good about that, really, really good about that. And I'm very excited about it, if you can't tell. So, working with me then, by the way, if you have any questions around any of this, and also I do want to speak to, there's a very lovely friend of mine who I did support through eating disorder recovery years ago. And I shared with her, one of the first people I shared with her that I was pregnant, because I know how blessed we are, because it was a quote unquote accident and people try to get pregnant for years and they want it so badly and it doesn't happen. And this beautiful soul has tried everything to get pregnant. They've spent thousands on IVF and they've been through it all and they still haven't got pregnant. And that must be so fucking hard when all you want is your own baby. And I just really want to put my heart out to that. And I feel quite emotional about that, because here I am avoiding it and it happens and everything's perfect. And I'm just so grateful for that. So I just want to speak to anyone, if they've even listened to this far, if you can't get pregnant or if you know someone close to you that can't, like it, I don't even know what to say apart from I just really feel that. Well, I don't feel it, but I really want to be empathetic towards that and speak to that, because I can't even imagine how that might feel. So yes, I wanted to speak to that. Working with me, yes, this is so exciting, right? So I'm working up until the middle of November anyway. I say working, coaching, it's not really working. I'm always going to be here on WhatsApp all throughout from my clients. And if someone wanted to work with me from now, and I've got a few clients signed up recently that are also going to be enjoying this support in between. When I'm having my baby and I'm taking about 6 to 8 weeks off from coaching calls from November, December, and then I'll be back in January, at the beginning of January, you will get 2 incredible coaches supporting you at no extra cost. So if you were to work with me next summer or last summer, you would be paying the same, but you'd be getting the extra 2 months coaching for free by 2 incredible coaches and WhatsApp support from me daily the entire time. And these incredible coaches, number one is Julia Trehane, the eating disorder recovery coach you might already know of. I coached her to full recovery from anorexia and exercise addiction 2 years ago, might even be 2.5 years ago now. And she's had her own established coaching business for over a year now, and I coached her how to be a coach as well. So you are in good hands. So you'll be having some calls with her, and the other calls you'll be having with my incredible husband, who is the leading coach in the Netherlands. He speaks fantastic English. Or any Dutchies out there, you can speak Dutch with him. And he has helped me so much around self-love and body image and letting go of people pleasing. Like you are going to be so supported, and you'll have me on WhatsApp as well. And it's like I say, it's like extra. It's just a gift because I won't be showing up for calls for a couple of weeks, but I will be on WhatsApp. So it's a great way to work with me for a minimum of like 6 to 8 months, whereas usually it's like between 4 to 6 months at no extra cost. So that's the plan with my coaching. So I'm still taking on clients. I've actually only got literally, I think like three spots left because I don't take on any more than a certain amount to keep the value of the support and everything. So there are still spaces if you want to have a consultation call and discuss that further, to work one-to-one with me, and then those 2 incredible coaches as well. What else? I'll obviously let you know how it all goes. I've been dying to share this. I've not shared it earlier because number one, my business coach was like, you can't share this yet. And I'm like, why not? And he was like, think about it from a business standpoint. And I was like, okay, I get it. But I'm sharing it now because I'm so excited to share it with you. And there's so much I've wanted to share, like I've learned day to day. And I can show you my bump even more because it's really cute. And I'll update you. I'm going to video my birth. I'm going to get the GoPro out. I mean, I'm not great at producing beautiful videos like so many people do. But I am going to create like a birth vlog thing for my at-home water birth. So that would be cool. And I just can't wait to meet our daughter, basically. Who would have thought, hey? So I'll stop there. Any questions, let me know. Thank you for listening. All the love to you. And now I am going to post this and bake some brownies. That's what I'm going to do. All right, Queens. Much love. Thank you for listening this far. And yeah, lots of love. See you next time.